This is the story about the pine tree, a white pine tree. And I've driven by this white pine tree now for close to 20 years. This tree has been growing in alongside of our driveway. And just the other day, I had this thought, oh, it's a really nice tree. And it is a nice white. I love white pine. I think it's one of my favorites. Between that and the Norway pine, those are my two favorite pines. And when I look at this tree, I see a good tree, and it does look good. But one thing I have noticed about this tree is that, believe it or not, this tree could be better. This tree could be better. This pine tree could be a better looking pine tree. I'm standing, actually right now, I'm standing on the west side of this pine tree. And you see this from this vantage point, it does look pretty good, doesn't it? Then I move around a little bit to the south side. You can see it's maybe not as full as it could be. And if I would move down to the north side, you might see a little bit more of the fullness because it has to take the north winds and brace from all those north winds coming down from Michigan. Yeah. So anyways, a pine tree. And so as I was looking at this pine tree and saying, the pine tree could be better. And when I take you around to the east side of the pine tree, you will understand why this pine tree could be much, much better. And now you're beginning to see it. There it is. There's another tree. And this happens to be a ash tree that's probably been here for close to 20 years, if not more than 20 years itself. It's grown up on the east side of this pine tree, the white pine. But one thing you'll notice about this ash tree is that it is a dead ash tree. The ash borer got to it, and this is a tree that one of these days I'm going to have to get the chainsaw out and get some help, because the way this tree is leaning, if I took this tree down the way that it's leaning, it's going to crash the entire white pine tree and probably top the pine tree, and then I lose both. I don't want to lose both. I actually want to save the pine tree because it is such a beautiful tree and it provides such aesthetic beauty. I want to get rid of this dead ash tree for sure. And so I'm going to need a crew, a couple people at least, to help me tie that thing off and put it onto a truck and have it lean one direction when we get to cutting it off. But as I was thinking about the story of the pine tree and the dead ash tree, and as I said, that this pine tree could be much, much better looking. It could be fully rounded pine tree and could just really be blossoming and flourishing the way that a white pine ought to be. But I got to thinking how often that is with our lives, In our lives, we may look from at one angle of our life, and maybe that's our social side, of our life. And socially, it looks like we've got some good relationships and things are going well. We could look to another side of our life and say that's our family side, and we have a family and children or a wife or extended family, and say, well, your relationships are good with my family and family is wonderful and it's good. We look to another side, and maybe another side of our life is our spiritual side, is what's going on with God, and it's like, okay, yeah, things look pretty good with God as well. Things are going all right with God. I'm reading my Bible and I'm hearing the voice of God. And so, yeah, things are good. But then we often come to another side of our lives that so often is neglected, and that's the side of our soul. And the side of our soul, we find that, there's a lot of memories there. There's a lot of emptiness there. There's a lot of wounds there. There's a lot of residual stuff that's there, and that it seems to have an effect on every side of our life, the spiritual side, the family side, and the social side, the relational side. And it's like, if we start dealing with some of the dead stuff that is in our soul, some of that dead stuff that's in our soul, if we will go ahead and let Jesus in, say, Jesus, come on in and take that dead wood out, take that dead stuff away from me that's growing up alongside of me. I'm a saved person. I got a relationship with God, but you know what? Things could sure be a heck of a lot better in my life if I got this dead stuff out of it. And friends, we all got this dead stuff in our lives. We just need to have the courage to get in there and get that dead stuff out. Because when we get that dead stuff out, then our entire life will really blossom we'll really, really flourish like a tree that's planted, by the rivers of water, and we'll grow into these strong, strong trees, well-rounded, and, being just what we should be, being what we can be, all that we can be in our relationship, in our loving with God, in our fulfilling God's commands. So I want to just encourage you today to take a look and ask and keep asking Jesus to show you what's the dead stuff in your life. What dead stuff is in our soul that needs to be chopped down, cut down, gotten rid of. And only Jesus can do that if we're willing to work with him and let him do that. And then once that happens, once that dead stuff is out, wow, you know what? Then it's going to have a residual effect in every other area of my life. And spiritually, I'm really going to grow more. And with my family, I'm going to be even tighter and stronger. And with my relationships socially, they're going to be real, they're going to be genuine, because I know and recognize now that my identity is not from that dead stuff that's been in there in my life and that's affecting me now and it's affecting my decisions that I make now. But now I'm going to realize and understand that my identity is Jesus Christ. And with my identity as Jesus Christ, life is filled with life and truth, and it's awesome and it's beautiful. Hey, I hope this has been an encouragement to you today. God bless you, and catch us again for some more lessons from God's nature.